Thank you very much. Good morning from New York. Good as we do in these virtual meeting. Good midday, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Everything together. I'm very happy to connect today with all of you around the world for this side event of the forthcoming 53rd session of the Statistical Commission, the changing role of official statistics. I think I was joking a couple of years ago already that the statistical offices used to be a goods producer, but they are moving more and more into the direction of a service producer, so that they still continue to produce goods, but I mean, in addition, they produce also services such as quality advice for their governments. And that tendency of a change in the position of the national statistical offices has, I think, started before the pandemic, but was accelerated through the pandemic. So we do have big topics such as hot topics like data innovation, innovative data sources such as big data, data quality assurance, data integration, data stewardship, data governance. So these are all big topics, and in the Commission, we will talk about them. But I mean, as usual, unfortunately, in the Commission session, formally, we will not have a lot of time. So I'm very excited to have this side event where we have a little bit of more time to go into depth and into some concrete examples of countries, and we have a little bit more time also for interactions. I think we have an exciting program, and I'd like to introduce the cast of this excellent show. So, first of all, Ronald Johnson, my Assistant Director, Chief of Data Innovation and Capacity Branch. He's leading the work on big data, and I think in that capacity, many of you know him. And he has not only helped us to put that event together, he will also have to take over, not because I don't like you anymore, but around 8:45 my time, I need to hop over to another event to welcome the newcomers of the Statistical Commission. So Ronald will take over at that moment the moderation. I'm very happy to have Commissioner Rio here from Statistics Korea, who will make a presentation. And as you have possibly seen through a mail overnight, Dr. Rio will also be a member of the Bureau of the Statistical Commission in the following year. And we are very much looking forward to working more with him. We also have Yusuf and Tom from Rwanda and UK. I hope they are not offended if I call them our old partners in crime, especially on our big data work. We have been working very closely together for a number of years now. They have been really leading this work. So, with all of that program, I would say fasten your seatbelts, and we will start to get you warmed up a little bit with a short presentation from Ronald. Ronald and we were offered the opportunity to publish an article towards a new data culture, we called it, on these topics in the data science and official statistics. I mean, in the Harvard Data Science Review, this was published in December last year. So I think that touches on many of the ideas that we will discuss today. And as I said, to lead us intellectually into the topic, I'll turn this over to Ronald, who can make a short presentation on what we wrote. And I can warn you already, we do not have all the answers. We are actually, I think, touching upon the topics, and we would be already quite happy if we are asking the right questions and leading the thinking into the common thinking into the right direction. Ronald, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Stefan, and good morning, good day to everyone who is tuning in here to this session, which I indeed see as an important contribution in the side events of the Statistical Commission. The changing role of official statistics, Stefan was indicating, this is in relation to, and I want to see if I can. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So in relation to an article that we published in the Harvard Data Science Review at December last year, that one was came together as a result of a panel discussion that took place at the last ISI in July last year, where we indicating a number of areas that are changing for our community of official statistics. And I'm just going very briefly through them. And indeed, as Stefan was saying, it's not that we have solutions for this. It's more that these are the kind of questions and areas where things are happening, and we just flag them as possible new areas where our community would need to take a stance and a role and have to do something about that. So very quickly, do we need a data steward? So data stewardship has been on the agenda of the Statistical Commission already now, I think, for 2 years. The background here is that the chief statistician is the gatekeeper of fundamental principles of official statistics for the whole national statistical system. And in the new area, we are also looking at data sources and working with partners in the data area who are not part of the national statistical system. And that's where the data stewardship comes in. And the question is if our community, if our statistical officers have a role to play in arranging the way the governance, the way data quality and the arrangements around data privacy are being led by the chief statistician also. And that's what happened in New Zealand, where the chief statistician is also the government chief data steward. And the question is if that is something that will occur more in the future. I mentioned protecting privacy. That's been the cornerstone of the work of national statistical offices. We in all what we do, we want to keep privacy as protected because it is something that ensures the trust in the way we work with data. And if we are expanding our work towards other areas or other communities with which we work, I mean, the question on how to preserve privacy will become more urgent. There are new techniques, privacy preserving techniques, and we'll see how far we can use that. Statistics and geospatial information, it's not new, but integration of this is still ongoing. We like to further improve on that. We have the global statistical geospatial framework. I think we need to more closely include this in the work of official statistics going forward. New job profiles, data scientists, data engineering, data analysts. We will hear about that during the session today, especially on the data science side. So how are we hiring or retraining people in our offices to be able to work with this new kinds of areas? New training and continuous learning is, of course, a part of that. I also want to mention here that we see a closer working relation between the developers of our systems and the business owners, so the substantive area, together with the IT area to be more closely working together, meaning that all statisticians would have to learn something about IT or data science to be able to do this. I think that's for the younger statisticians and the way we set up our offices, something to keep in mind. And communication, when we work with data science, we're working in this area, which is not directly official statistics, but it's statistics that we would like to be able to present. So our communication about the limitations of data, communication about the uncertainty and what we present, I think is something that's challenging and that we would try to take on as well. The policymakers like to get data today. We want, with new data sources, be able to meet that demand to a certain extent, but we need to also then communicate what the limitations are and what we can do with it. Fundamental principles for a larger data landscape. So here, fundamental principles are now really applied to our community, to the national statistical system. If we broaden the work that we are doing, what does that mean for other partners? Do they have to commit to the fundamental principles? How could we do that? So it's more really a question about how to work with other partners than that we have an answer yet. And finally, we have attention from politicians, especially like on the occasions of the UN World Data Forum. We work with high-level politicians, and we would need to take those moments also to see how our community can help in this data culture, as we coined it in the article. So how our community can help path the way in which data is being used in our societies. And I'll stop there, Stefan, and give it back to you.
Thank you, Ronald, for leading us into the topics with these reflections. And as I said, many questions. And now we are turning to the really intelligent people to give us all the answers, namely our colleagues from the countries, because they are facing these challenges and opportunities, not only in an abstract way, but in a very concrete way in the specific situation of their countries. So, and I'm very pleased to start our reflection from the country perspective with a short presentation by Commissioner Dr. Ryu from Korea, who has taken over the considerable challenge and task of leading his statistical system in his country. And he has certainly brought some new and innovative ideas to the table. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. So please, Dr. Ryu, the floor is yours for a presentation of what you call the case statistics system.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank Stefan and the organizers for giving me a chance to present today. I'm very happy to be given this opportunity. So today we introduce our Statistics Korea's so-called hub and spokes model for safely linking and using governmental data. Statistical registers here play the role of hub, while diverse scattered data are linked to the hub through spokes. To guarantee security of linked data, Statistics Korea plans to leverage homomorphic encryption, differential privacy, and synthetic data. A pilot project has been implemented to link scattered data on small businesses in their encrypted state between our Statistics Korea and separate Gyeonggi province. This pilot project demonstrates that hub and spokes model backed by homomorphic encryption and key management scheme has potential to facilitate data cooperation between different governmental institutions who don't necessarily trust each other. Okay, here is basic contents, background, and the basic idea, and then I'll show you applications. So I will briefly mention backgrounds. In Korea, we have passed revision of Data X in Korea. And as a result, we are expecting large amounts of data to be linked and utilized in the future. As a result, we will enjoy so-called economy of scale and economy of scope in linking and using data. Nowadays, we are seeing really big changes in the world. These changes are coming through the marriage of big data and the big model, backed by big computing. So 3 bigs are generating something big in real life. That's my perspective. Here comes privacy protection issues. As we are linking more and more pieces of features across different data sources, the risk of re-identification increases. If you imagine the game of 20 questions or the concept of cost of dimensionality in non-parametric statistics, you can understand why the risk of re-identification increases. Let me show you this problem by taking this example. So in the population, there are 8 people numbered from 1 through 8. Here, number 1 indicates John. And we are classifying these 8 individuals based on gender, age, height sequentially. So gender, male and female, all the other numbers males, all the even numbers correspond to females. And then in terms of age, young, old, young or old, young left, old right. John is young, so he belongs to the group 135. So still, this group satisfies K anonymity with K being equal to 3. But when the group is further classified based on height, because John is short, John is singled out. So as you see in this example, as more features are combined, here gender, age, height sequentially combined, identity of John is revealed. This is exactly the same kind of problem of cost of dimensionality in non-parametric estimation. Here, cost of dimensionality leads to cost of privacy leakage because John is identified by combining different dimension of aspects. So let me briefly explain K-statistics system. This is a hub and spokes model for governmental data. Currently, data are scattered and non-standardized, and they are stored in different silos. So through hub and spokes model, we are going to link data using so-called statistical registers. And then we want to protect the security of data either using hardware protection by using separate room disconnected from outside networks, or software protection, for example, by using homomorphic encryption, differential privacy, and synthetic data. Nowadays, media people are talking about data dam, but data dam should not be like water dam. If it's like water dam, we don't know where the data privacy are preserved, how they are linked, and who's going to use the data. So according to K-statistics system, we want to separately keep the data from different sources and then link on the encrypted state and then analyze again on the encrypted state. So decryption comes only after final computation. Thereby, we can better protect privacy. If we imagine a big spreadsheet, here different governmental institutions contain different pieces of information. Income data are kept by Korean IRS, education by Education Ministry, employment by Labor Department. Different pieces of information are blocked by black vertical bars. So in the K system, we are going to link different data kept by different sources on the encrypted state, thereby reducing the burden of privacy leakage while allowing computation on the encryption. This is another view describing hub and spokes model. So in the center, we have a hub. Hub is operated through statistical registers. And then through the hub, different information sources are linked by spokes. So by using this system, we can compile comprehensive pension statistics, which is currently on the progress in Korea. And we can also design complete statistics for childcare and also for labor and housing policy. So case study system is comprised of two elements. One is statistical registers, and the other is privacy protection. So homomorphic encryption. I'll be very brief. So encryption and computation are commutative. Therefore, you don't need decoding until final computation. And I have to explain key management scheme. So let me go to the next page. So here are two separate government agencies. Let's call them Agency A and Agency B. So Agency A is like Statistics Korea. Agency B is Gyeonggi Province. And we don't necessarily trust each other. So we don't want to reveal the raw data to different institutions. In fact, we trust each other, but we pretend not to trust each other. So each agency generates private key, SKA, SKB, secret keys. And then the trusted third party combine these two separate keys and then generate public key corresponding to the combined private key. So this is what was depicted in this diagram. Next page, please. And then after receiving the common public key, two different agencies are encrypting their data using the public key. And then by combining these two encrypted databases, we can create the common encrypted database. And then we can analyze this commonly encrypted data set using a homomorphic encryption scheme. And then we will get encrypted results, which is not in the plain text. Therefore, nobody can see the encrypted results so far. At this stage, each agent partially decrypts the encrypted results using his or her own secret key, and then exchange the partially encrypted results. And then by using the remaining half of the key, they can fully recover the results. So this is a scheme we have in mind. And then sometimes we need differential privacy as a supplementary mechanism. So basic idea of differential privacy is to keep the records after contaminating the original signal with some random noise. So global differential privacy is sometimes used to protect the individual micro information. I will skip this explanation, this example. And then local differential privacy. You want to contaminate individual data to a certain extent while keeping the aggregate macro information. Again, I will skip the basic illustrations, this page and the next page. So in this, let me go back to previous page. So in this example, each pixel data is like micro data, individual data. Each pixel data, 0, 1 bit, is flipped with 25% chance. Therefore, the image on the left and the image on the right, the local pixel values are possibly different. But still, you can identify overall that whether it's a left image or right image is definitely Mona Lisa. Synthetic data. I have explained the concept of homomorphic encryption. On the encryption state, the data becomes heavy and inconvenient for any kind of computation. Therefore, you don't want to play too much game with encrypted data. So as to give practice opportunities, we want to generate synthetic data, which are different from the original data, but which keep pretty much the similar statistical properties as the original data. So that's the idea of using synthetic data. So currently we are compiling comprehensive pension statistics. Different pieces of private or public pension information is coming from different sources in Korea. Next page, please. And then currently we are combining our Statistics Korea's business register with Gyeonggi province, which is like a state in the United States. Gyeonggi province is small business information for years 2015 to 2020. The sample establishments are more than 8,000 franchisees serving Korean foods in the Gyeonggi province, which are newly established anytime between years 2015 and 2020. So it's like a flow sampling, not stock sampling. Not to prevent so-called length bias sampling in survival analysis. On establishment survival or death is recorded as 0 or 1 every month, which results in a sequence of binary string, which is suitable for logistic regression analysis. On the homomorphic encryption, it can only play polynomials. Therefore, we have to approximate logistic function by using polynomial function. So this is approximation, but they look pretty much the same. And I will show you the results in the next page. Well, in terms of results, I have represented 3 columns. First column is just a plain text logistic regression analysis. Second column is plain text analysis using approximation function. The third column using approximation function and encrypted text rather than plain text. If you compare the second and third column, then whether you use plain text analysis or homomorphic encryption analysis on the homomorphic encryption, they are basically the same. So next page, please. The next page, please. So, well, I don't think you are too much interested in knowing the small business survival in Korea, but if you're interested, I will basically show that establishments with the bigger sales amount or bigger shop space face a lower bankruptcy rate. Shutdown bankruptcy rate is high in central developed business districts. And surprisingly, shutdown rate is lower rather than higher during the COVID-19 period, which corresponds to March year 2020 and thereafter. Well, even though it looks paradoxical, it's consistent with the shop owners crying that we have no alternative, therefore we cannot shut down the shop. And regarding the life cycle pattern of survival, we have observed the shutdown rate is low for only 9 months after birth of establishments, and it turns higher from 13 months to 3 years after birth, and then the bankruptcy rate decreases and stabilizes after 3 years from birth. Okay, I will conclude by saying a few takeaways. There is strong complementarity between data security and data linkage. And there are 3 interesting features of governmental data and governmental statistics, which offer favorable conditions for using homomorphic encryption. First is limited number of involved parties. Second is governmental statistics often involve only simple arithmetic rather than fancy neural network models with lots of hidden layers. Also, we don't need for real-time online computing, so we are not terribly hungry for speed. All these 3 elements are quite favorable for using homomorphic encryption. And the hub and spokes model equipped with homomorphic encryption and the key sharing is a useful model for safely linking and using governmental data, which are scattered across mutually non-trusting agencies. For more detailed presentation, longer version of my presentation, you can visit the YouTube, which is available in about half an hour presentation format. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rio. And I want you all fasten your seatbelts at the beginning of this session. I think if we had a sort of a lax title, I would call it Data Science Meets Official Statistics. And I think your life is probably also an example of that. I read that you have spent many years as a professor in academia before you were called in this current management position. So you certainly bring all of that perspective to our table and to our discussion today. So thank you for that. I hope the almost 100 guests that we have now in this virtual meeting found it as fascinating. And I have to say, I have seen your video, so I can really only recommend it. So for the further running of the show, the chat is important. We will change information there and put perhaps references there. And Ronald already invited you to put any questions that you may have there. Before we allow for questions, let's go over into the open roundtable and panel discussion right now by introducing our other two speakers, Mr. Yusuf Murangwa, Director General of the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda, and Mr. Tom Smith, Director of the Data Science Campus of the Office of National Statistics in the United Kingdom. So the way we will do that is I will ask a question to both of them to give them an opportunity to speak. Then Ronald will ask a second question to give the panelists also again an opportunity to briefly respond to that. And then hopefully we will have still a little bit of time to pick up some of the questions that you may have either directly or through the chat. So with this roadmap, let me ask my first question to Yusuf and Tom. Both in Rwanda and in the UK, the National Statistical Office has created a data science campus. And I would like to hear, what do you see as the major changes the introduction of the data science has brought and the campus has brought to the work of your statistical office? And perhaps we start with Yusuf and then move on to Tom. Yusuf, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Stefan, and greetings to everyone following us on this panel. It's a pleasure to be part of this very important topic. And again, congratulations to Ronald and Stefan. The paper is very good. I read it. And also congratulations to South Korea. Very interesting work. In Rwanda, we are looking at two transformations. And I think this is also relevant for other countries. The first transformation is in terms of institutional change, institutional mandate and positioning of the national statistics system, especially in a context of increasing demand, big data and data governance. The second transformation is a technical issue, is a technical transformation with new data sources, especially big data, new methods, new tools, infrastructure, capacity, services, and many other things. In 2017, the government of Rwanda adopted a national data revolution policy and mandated the National Statistics Office to coordinate the policy, of course, in partnership with the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology and other institutions. And we moved forward by establishing a data science campus at the National Institute of Statistics, and also established a dedicated department of data science. The introduction of data science at the National Institute of Statistics has allowed us to do three things that I think are very important. One is it has allowed us to build awareness and engagement, especially that we see is very important for especially statistics offices within the National Statistics offices and the wider National Statistics System, but also out of the statistics system arrangement to include policymakers, development partners, the private sector, and other stakeholders. And this has allowed us to start a new thinking in terms of consensus regarding what role we should be playing going forward in the national statistics system, in data, in advising policy, and so on and so forth. The second thing that we've managed to do with the introduction of data science at the National Statistics Office is that we've started managing the change that we want to see happening in the next couple of years, 3, 5, 10 years down the road. And this change is inevitable. We have to be modernizing, going to big data. And with that, we needed a dedicated department and facility to handle that transition. Without a dedicated arrangement that addresses the issue in a systematic manner, we thought it would be very difficult to make progress in that direction. The third and very important element that introduction of big data to our institution has allowed us to do, it has allowed us to start investing and allocating resources to what we need to do. It's very difficult to allocate resources like in a vacuum. We've been operating in a traditional manner in the past, and we needed new avenues to start allocating resources in terms of staffing, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of bringing together partners and building partnerships, capabilities, to start establishing our competences going forward to modernize official statistics by integrating big data. So these are the three areas that we think the introduction of big data has allowed us in the National Statistics Office. And without it, I think it would have been very difficult to achieve this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yusuf, for sharing your thoughts and also your examples. And you've become really a leading figure, not only for Africa, I would say for all of the developing countries around the world, what can be done. And I want to thank you for that. Now I give the floor to Tom to share his initial thoughts on the topics and on the impact of the data science campus in the context of a highly developed statistical systems like we have in the United Kingdom.
Stefan, many thanks. Can you hear me okay? Yes,
we can.
Great stuff. Colleagues, and I add my thanks and honor to speak today to Yusuf's. It is a fantastic community across the statistical systems, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to work in this community and share some of the work that we're doing. And I really recommend and commend the paper by Ronald and Stefan and colleagues as a really nice outline and overview of the work that's going on around data science, big data, and official statistics. On the question, we launched the United Kingdom's data science campus about just coming up for 5 years ago, so it's nearly our 5th birthday. And I like to think of the work that we do really as boiling down under 3 different pillars, different strands, which support the work of the ONS, the Statistical Office itself. And the pillars are explore, embed, and enable. And let me just sort of say something a little bit about each of those and why that really supports and helps the work of a statistical office. So Explore, first up, is around the art of the possible. This is ensuring that the work of the statistics office is really able to take advantage and make opportunity of the data sources, the tools and techniques that we have to understand society, understand our economy, understand the environment, and so on. And so, for example, Explore looks at new data sources. What are the sources that have come online, whether they be big data, alternative data, whether it be data share, administrative data records shared from across government, or new surveys that we might want to start up and respond rapidly to our changing pressures and changing questions. So it's about data sources, but it's also about techniques and tools, and it's also about ways of working. So it's not just data sources. And on the data sets, Ronald talked about experimental data. Many sources that the Data Science Campus in the UK has led on for our statistics office. We've led on exploring the potential to augment and build up and strengthen our statistics production. And so sources like satellite imagery, like mobile phone data, like CCTV traffic camera, all of those are pieces or sources that we've explored to see, is there something extra here? Do these give us added explanatory value over and above the official outputs that we're already producing? So that's the thing around data sources, but it's also about techniques. Dr. Iu, which I really enjoyed your presentation, talked about some of the homomorphic encryption, federated machine learning, taking the analysis to the data sources. Absolutely, that is one of the areas of real interest for data scientists and for the Data Science Campus. It's about making better use of the data that we already have available without reducing or losing security and sensitive data. But there are other techniques. So, for example, synthetic data, producing data that is plausible and realistic but not real, gives you a real way to speed up access and speed up analysis by users who maybe can't get their hands on the data itself immediately, but can develop code pipelines and so on. And I'll give an example of that in the next bit. So there are lots of examples of where data science techniques can really add value to the statistical office. And in the UK, that's some of the areas that the campus leads on for the Office for National Statistics. And then the third area, I think, under this explore bit is around sharing expertise. And Yusuf really talked about the sharing and partnerships with academia, with industry and others. And I think this is a really great example where the expertise and excellence inside the statistics system, inside the statistics office, you can create great partnerships with academia, rolling secondments, joint appointments for professors or lecturers, programs for masters and PhD students, graduate programs in from university into the system. All of those things which in the UK, the campus has led on for data science, but I think this is a general area of interest for all of statistics offices. So that's the explore bit. The second bit is around embed, because explore is just about research and it's about a lab, but embed is where we really hit the road in terms of producing improvements to our official outputs, statistics, data access, official analysis, and so on. And three examples here that I think really kind of illustrate the work of the campus in the UK. The first is looking to see what of our new data sources can add value to the published data in a faster indicators program. This was something that we've been talking about with the economic statistics teams and the public policy teams in ONS, and really pushed up a new program for ONS to create what is now a weekly basket of indicators that publishes data from big data sources, including shipping GPS, that publishes from government administrative records, such as business tax data, and also from surveys that we've started up, looking at COVID, looking at business insight and so on, but producing a weekly series. Now that's a big shift from people and teams that may be used to publish once a year, or in census once a decade, but it really adds value. And it's something that the campus And certainly the data science programs in ONS have been really kind of a big part of our program and our work. Second area was around core outputs. We talked about census, but population estimates, international migration, all of those things. This is where data science and Data Science Campus can support in with novel data sets, ways of fusing and bringing together multiple sources across big data, across alternative data sources, across administrative data, and so on. And then the third one is automating pipelines, so production, increasing our speeds of output, in decreasing errors, enabling really clear audit, that sort of thing. Again, this is kind of core bread and butter for data science teams. It's really powerful, and it's great to see this being incorporated in business as usual production. And then as an example, the synthetic data program that we operate produces synthetic data to test those production pipelines, so which you can then share with developers and so on, and really give you a way of speeding up that development. The final example, and then I'll hand back to you, Stefan, is around enable. So we've had explore, we've had embed, we've had enable. This is about capability building. And I think this is where ONS and the National Statistics Office really leads into supporting the whole of government. So the Data Science Campus here has responsibility for strengthening data science capability in the Statistics Office, but also right across government. So we run programs on behalf of other bits of government. I'll come back to those in the next questions. But that support has been instrumental and important in rapid COVID response and many other examples. So those are the three things that I think the campus and data science teams in government and in national statistics offices are really instrumental in strengthening and supporting. Stefan, back to you.
Thank you, Tom, very much, not only for your remarks right now. I know you and your team and ONS and the Data Science Campus have been leading our thinking and have shown us how it can practically be done, bringing data science to official statistics. And one term that I heard several times, which I think reveals your fundamental thinking, is add value, add value. It is not like, as I sometimes say, a football match there where there is a winner and a loser. Is how can we bring all of these various elements, new technologies, capabilities together to support the classical core business that we are all in, namely producing official statistics. So this is a very exciting discussion, and I've just scrolled down the name of the almost 100 participants, seeing many familiar names and friends. So greetings to all of you. As I said at the beginning, I will have to leave now, not because of lack of interest, on the contrary, but because I do have another engagement. So just allow me to throw in at this point a word of thanks to all of the partners that are speakers here, to all of you for connecting early in the morning. But I won't go into a closing statement. I'll leave that to my trusted colleague, Ronald. So please take over, and everybody take care of yourself and enjoy the rest of this event and the rest of the Commission events. And I see you very, very soon again. Bye.
Thank you, Stefan. Yes. On the continuation of our panel discussion, I want to turn to, but before I pick up some of the questions in the chat, I want to turn first to Dr. Ryu of Korea, and I would like to give your views on the question, and I might formulate it as follows. So, data is important for all government offices. And how do you see the role of your Office of COSTAT in data governance, data sharing, data quality assurance, and development of policies? And maybe you can pick up one of those which you think is most important for your office to work on in this, and how across all of government your office will contribute. Dr. Ryu.
Okay. First of all, I really enjoyed your paper you have written together with Stefan and published in Harvard Business Journal. Statistics Korea is to respond progressively to the pressing needs for the production of official statistics by leveraging wide-ranging data sources, including administrative data and digital big data. So as I explained, we are trying hard to use new developments to protect individual privacy. So we strongly believe that privacy protection and data usage are coming together. Without data protection, nobody, no institutions is willing to provide their data, is willing to share their data. So that's one element we are working really hard. The second element is that, as mentioned by Tom, we strongly believe that we have to utilize new developments in data sources and alternative sources and many data science techniques to strengthen the official statistics. So for that purpose, Statistics Korea is putting lots of effort to train our employees by encouraging them to take data science courses. And we have to increase this effort over time, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer. Let me turn to Yusuf. On the also, you mentioned that within the government of Rwanda, there is a lot of attention to data and the data revolution. So maybe also to you the question, maybe what you see as the most important contribution of the statistical office and the data science campus in handling data across government, right? So this might go beyond the agencies that produce statistics, official statistics. But for all government agencies, how you have a contribution there, Yusuf, please.
Yeah, Ronald, this is a very important question, and a question that statistics offices and all partners in the landscape of official statistics and governance should be thinking about. The role of the National Statistics Office, in our opinion now, I would confess that our opinion is not fully developed yet. We are still in the process of developing the opinion. One, there are a number of issues. One is being part of the process of determining the policies and approaches of governing the whole issue. It is very important that statistics offices are part of it, and they should be strongly part of it. In Rwanda, I would say we are strongly part of it. These are debates that we are central to, and that should be, according to our opinion, the way to go. Then two, regarding data quality and related issues. There is a lot of data out there. And the Statistics Office should strongly be like a quality assurance agency for data that is official, that informs policies directly. But also, I think there is a strong role for the National Statistics Office for experimental data. Because we like it or not, experimental data is used by policymakers to make decisions that affect so many things in countries. But there is a third section of data that we are not very sure yet what our role should be. especially data that some private agencies are using for their business modeling and so on and so forth. We are not sure. We are not sure whether we really want to be there. Then the third aspect, which is interesting, is being in charge of all data. It's very interesting. It comes with a lot of opportunities and power for the national statistics system to get access to data, to do a lot of analytical work, to inform policy, to be quick and effective. But also, it also presents a number of challenges. It presents a number of challenges in terms of in terms of the scope of work. The scope of work would be very huge. The interests behind that data is very wide. We really don't know whether we want to go into all those interest areas. And there again, I think we still have a lot of figuring out exactly what our role should be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this comprehensive reply, Yusuf. Much appreciated. We're getting also already close to the end of the session, but I'll turn to Tom, and I'll pick up aside from the general question also to you, Tom, what you see as the main points across government, the role of the data science campus and ONS. The new kinds of roles there, but from the chat I pick up also in how you see that machine learning can play a role in decision making. So I guess in the way you put out experimental data. And you already answered in the chat a little bit about how it is how the data science campus is financed, and finally, I hope I don't say a secret here, but Tom unfortunately will move on. Unfortunate for us, not for him, to other work. So I really like to give you the opportunity here, Tom, to indicate also what you see as the next future steps in the area of modernization and big data innovation. Please, Tom.
Ronald, thank you very much. Let me be really quick, and then I think there's the obvious things that statistics officers do to support the rest of government, provide statistics analysis and so on. Obvious. I think Yusuf and Dr. Yu have already talked about the defining standards and the support for other parts of the system. For example, in the UK, we have the Statistical Code of Practice, which is developed by our sister part of the UK Statistics Agency, along with ONS as well. But the bits that I think kind of haven't come out so clearly, the first is that statistics agencies have a role to be the centre of excellence and centre of expertise, and carrying out projects for other parts of government or supporting other parts of government to do that work. So not just our own outputs, but other people's outputs. And that comes back maybe to the question around machine learning in policy development, in service delivery and so on. And one example that I think illustrates the work in the UK, the Data Science Accelerator is a mentoring program that the campus leads in partnership with the Government Digital Service. We have now mentored more than 300 pieces of work delivered by other parts of government, not mentored by my data scientists or in our team, but mentored by the network, by the community. And this is a fantastic program to which really makes use of the skills, the capability right across the community. And I'll put in the chat the link to the international program that the capability team is working on with the Big Data Committee of Experts and Ronald's team for international sport, because I think this is a great example of a way of scaling up that support for data science, machine learning and others. The final example is around making available data that may be difficult for other parts of government to access. So Yusuf talked about being the centre for data, and I absolutely agree with this. In the UK, we have the Integrated Data Programme, which is a cross-government funded programme, but led by ONS on behalf of other departments. And this makes data available in all sorts of ways to researchers in government and in academia under secure, ethically robust ways of accessing, and includes things like big data approach sources as well. So lots of things there. I'll just finish as well. You know, I've been in ONS for coming up for 5 years. I'm moving to the part of government that looks at levelling up, so looking at regional and local inequalities. I will be taking on the work that we've done in ONS and with you all to look at local analysis. So I'm really excited by that, but I'm very sad to be leaving this community. It is a great community. There is so much expertise here. There's so much desire to share and collaborate. And it's been a wonderful experience to be part of. So thank you all. Keep going. Ronald, you asked what's the next challenge. I talked earlier about adding value and impact. All of the work we're doing is coming through and is about impact, improving the lives of our citizens and so on. Keep going on that. Keep doing what you're doing. Be ambitious and radical and keep pushing, and look forward to crossing paths again. Ronald, back to you.
Thank you very much, Tom. And I also would like to thank you for all your efforts over the last 5 years to our community. You've been a very important voice. You will be missed. I hope our paths can cross, and if possible, I will try to find you and invite you in future events of ours, and to keep your voice and your vision for our work. So thank you very much, Tom. I think I speak on behalf of all of us. I also, we're coming to the end of the hour. I also would like to thank Dr. Ryu of Statistics Korea. We see important work that is going on in your office. We hope that we can connect also your work to the international work that we're doing on privacy preserving techniques. We'd really like to see if we can collaborate with you on that. It's important work. I think if we have good working privacy preserving techniques, we can trust working with each other on data. I think that's the main issue, because we don't have to trust because on personal relations, we trust it because our systems or our privacy preserving techniques work well. And finally, Yusuf, also thank you. We know the data science campus in Rwanda is important for the regional hub in Africa, so for the whole region. And I'm really looking forward also working with our community of the Committee of Experts on Big Data and Data Science with Rwanda and the Economic Commission of Africa on moving data science also forward in your region. So with that, there are some more messages in the chat. I thank you all for attending this meeting. It's an inspiring and important piece of work that we are trying to achieve here. It's a new area. It's a new way forward. But I would like to thank all of you in trying to be on this journey together and to cooperate and move our work forward. I think it's really important, and I think we're making good progress. So I'd like to thank you all again. Thank you, Dr. Ryu. Thank you, Yusuf, and thank you, Tom. And thank you all for attending this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronald, for hosting. Thank you all.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.